Now, Denise, I mean, in general though, like because you explore the whole fandom in Trekkies, has it always been something comfortable for you, and has always been positive for you as far as your fan base and
Always.
I mean, okay.
Look, I mean, the fans, you cannot have it's the most symbiotic relationship I've ever seen with any,
Right.
I mean, The Walking Dead, I see that a little bit
Sure.
as well, but, Star Trek is the granddaddy.
Oh,
of
yeah.
them.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
it sort of opened the doors for that interaction, that kind of relationship, that, con stuff, which has created its own world now, its own
Absolutely,
niche. And, there's always, whenever I go to a con, there's always like one person that will just absolutely blow my mind and, touch my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where it's coming from or what it's going to be, and it's not a typical thing,
Right.
and there's not a pattern, but somebody will come to me and they'll be so real and genuine, and just they'll tell me something that happened, and I'll just go, oh my, and it might be a kid, it might be, one of the things, my personal favorite is about 2 years ago, I was in Calgary, Canada, at the Comic-Con, which I didn't realize Calgary had the most gigantic Comic-Con I've ever seen.
Really?
Really?
In
Oh,
Calgary?
Yeah.
Calgary.
Bigger than even San Diego.
In San Diego?
Well, there
Probably
were
rivals
at
that.
least
Comparable?
100,000.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it was the first time, and the only time that I'm aware of right now, that the next gen has been on one stage at the same time.
Oh,
Wow.
Because there's usually one
Yeah,
of us
sure,
missing.
Right.
Sure.
So we were all there.
Mm-hmm.
Will,
Mhm.
me, everybody. And it was huge. And it was moderated, I think Shatner moderated it.
Shatner?
Wow.
Yeah, he'll moderate a number of these for
Wow.
us. And it's funny because Shatner, I don't think he's ever seen an episode of Nick.
I guarantee.
Which I personally love because I'm that sick, with the humor. I get the humor.
Right,
right.
Some of the other guys are not so cool with it,
Sure.
but I love that he's never seen an episode.
Yeah.
Because a fan will say, with the Tagorians or whatever the horse head that came in the bed and whatever, and he'll go, really? What, Denise? Really? Yes, Bill. I was a half Romulan.
As long as he doesn't
And what
get
was
it all wrong.
what was a Romulan? Yeah. I mean, like it's just he's
That's
so
hilarious.
funny.
But so you were in Calgary.
Okay, so we were in Calgary, and I was at my autograph table, and I see across the room a lovely gentleman who's in crutches, and he's clearly got, I'm thinking MS, he's struggling, but he's proud, and he's by himself, and he's got my photograph under his arm,
Mm-hmm.
and he's making his way, and the line to my table is one of those zigzag
Sure.
things, and he
Yes.
slowly makes his way, and he can't really talk, and he gives me his photograph, and he's worked so hard to get there,
Uh-huh.
and I signed to him, and I gave him a hug, and he proudly puts it under his arm, and he makes his way through the line to the next table.
Wow.
I was like, I mean, that really was profound, and it moved me so much that I had to get up from my table, and I went into the ladies' room,
Mm-hmm.
and, just kind of took hold of myself and just realized, people are, they're sensitive and kind, and they're moved by the show.
Yeah.
And it was so deeply touching. I'll never forget it. He didn't want help.
Right.
He didn't have anyone helping
Right,
him.
right.
He was there as a fan.
Yeah.
And it was so beautifully moving to me. And he went to each one of us
Right.
like that. And I watched him do it. And I'm still, to this day, touched.
It's like just like you're part of something that just it touches so many different people. You know, like it's a spark in somebody's life. You know,
I can't really describe that part of it. You know, it's you know, you're grateful enough to be an actor, to be able to get a gig.
yeah, just to be,
Just
to
to
be
pay
an
the
actor
bills.
is hard enough.
Just
Right?
to pay the
act.
bills.
Yeah, to do that as a profession.
So suddenly you get people coming up to you who have these moments where it's touched their lives in a deeply personal way.
Yeah.
Whether it's the soldier who's been in Iraq, who
Right.
couldn't get through,
Right.
who, you know, I met a guy who he was a medic who went in with his unit, and you know, they were clearing this room, and he was just the medic. He wasn't even, you know, he was there to back them up, and the sergeant opened the fridge and it was loaded
Oh, man.
and just blew everything up, and everybody was blown away. And his legs were blown off, and he was the medic, and he had to grab those morphine. He had whatever morphine vials on him, and he had to jab them into each one of those guys, forgetting him, you know, not thinking himself. And then he looked down, and he had no legs. And he went through the process of healing and rehab and all of that, and he said that he obviously, you know, went through dark moments, but he would watch Star Trek.
Right. It's like an escape from real life. You know.
It's also very uplifting, and
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
we can
be better than this.
Yeah,
do
we
this.
have a future.
you
One of the
know.
most affecting moments I remember in Trekkies is the James Doohan story about the suicidal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
We
Where he
all-
gets pretty
right.
emotional remembering it.
We all have, you cannot, I mean, I defy that you would be at this point in my career, having lived now for 27 years, hearing what I've heard
Mm.
and being part of this, that it is so beyond, it's bigger than me.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's almost like it becomes like an obligation too, almost just to, because it's got to be hard too. So like when you're, I mean, every signature, you know, I mean, just to kind of be positive and you know be open to everybody that comes over to you. Like you want to give everybody their moment. You know, you want to
Right.
be.
It is.
Right.
It's,
You know,
it's, you
It's
know,
going to be a lot of work. But
you're
but like,
open. You
yeah.
leave yourself open to this.
and that's why, as much as I love, for example, the SNL bit that had Shatner
Mhm.
saying "Get a life"
Mhm.
and all that, and we all laughed at that.
We
It's,
did.
It's funny.
Sure.
It is, yeah.
Sure.
But with him, just the idea that you can make this show and like, hey, it's just a job, and it becomes this cultural phenomenon and it really touches people, that to kind of write it off as like, what? Hey, what are you guys are just nerds? Like, no, you never know the thing that you create, your art will touch someone,
Yeah.
and that's an important responsibility. And how wonderful does that add to your career?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's more about your humanity. It's not about it. You know, it becomes not about your career. It doesn't become about you know, you're just, and it's about a shared kind of human experience.
Yeah.
And if you leave, you know, and it's hard to be vulnerable like that and leave yourself open to strangers that are
Mhm.
coming
Sure.
up to you. You know, there's times when, you know, it's too much.
It's not quite as sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not, you know, Florence Nightingale here,
Right.
you know, or Mother Teresa by any stretch of the imagination. But it has probably the gift. If I'm walking away from this
Mhm.
right now, from, you know, let's say we close it up tonight, and I go, you know, it's not about the acting career. It's more about the humanity that I've learned through this.
Right.
And
But-
I'm not saying that, you know, to
Sure.
get any, you know, Nobel Peace Prize here. You know, it's really
Sure, yeah.
true. It's really true. With the humanity, for me personally, that I've learned from this journey in Star Trek
A sense of
is much more
community.
profound
But-
than my career.
But isn't it interesting,
Advantage.
Joe, that the idea of something that could have been just a simple career choice, a job that you took,
Right.
that now has turned into something else, that thing that you might at the time might have thought, oh, it's a silly show and it's a paycheck, touch someone's
Absolutely,
life.
Yeah,
absolutely,
right,
and
right.
that took me by surprise and continues to take me by surprise, and I'd never take that for granted.
And it's